Welcome on in, guys. Tobin here with you, and thanks for checking out the channel. If you guys could subscribe, that'd be great. If not, I appreciate you stopping by the channel. So, weird story comes out today. The Wall Street Journal drops a piece that is discussing a federal investigation that is taking a look into a gambling ring that was part of the whole Jonte Porter scandal. And it has put Terry Rozier in the crosshairs a little bit because they're investigating whether or not he manipulated a performance in a Hornets game from 2023 where his unders all had a lot of action on it. And Terry Rozier, who was having a very good year for the Hornets that year, he mysteriously in the game has a foot injury that causes his game to come up short. A lot of people apparently hit on this action. He had 5 points in that game. He was 2 for 4 shooting. He only played 9.5 minutes before leaving the game. To be fair, he did not play again that season, so whatever injury he did have appeared to be it would seem to be a reasonable or a legitimate injury, one would think. But this has been this is obviously one of those things where social media definitely is not going to be kind to Terry Rozier, because all everybody saw is that Terry Rozier is under federal investigation for manipulating a performance in a game, and that's just like all over Twitter, all over the place. Now, apparently the NBA has already investigated this. They already had an investigation. Their statement on the matter was they had found no wrongdoing from Terry Rozier. This is Mike Bass, their spokesperson, said in March of 2023, the NBA was alerted to unusual betting activity related to Terry Rozier's performance in a game between the Charlotte Hornets and New Orleans. The league conducted an investigation and did not find a violation of NBA rules. We are now aware of an investigation by the U.S. Attorney's Office of the Eastern District of New York related to this matter and have been cooperating with that investigation. Anthony Chang of the Miami Herald says the Heat are referring requests for comment on the investigation to the NBA. And this is like definitely like the holy SHIT story on top of a year where we're already dealing with the Jimmy Butler stuff. Because, like, look, this is one of those things where, okay, if the NBA investigated and nothing found wrong, I'm going to lean that Terry did nothing wrong. But it is weird. Like, there were tweets from people who had said, I have inside information, and went high on the Terry unders, which, by the way, for a guy who had inside information, he profited like $100. Like, I feel like if you had inside information, you would have gone a little bit more. But hey, listen, he probably just wanted to like, hey, let's not raise any red flags. I'll just take my Hyundai and go. So maybe that's the way. Sometimes when you have an inside info, you do it not to alert any red flags. But these guys apparently had. And this is what kind of led to the whole Jonte Porter thing, right? Like, why is there all this action on who? Michael Porter Jr.'s brother? So much so that you have to get involved in something like this. Now, the one thing that obviously gets red flags raised up on this immediately is that Terry Rozier, has made a lot more money than Jonte Porter. So the idea that Terry Rozier would be in some kind of gambling ring or be part of some kind of manipulation is a little bit crazy. I mean, Terry Rozier, let me see, what is it? Career earnings for Terry Rozier, like he's getting $25 million a year, and he had signed that contract extension. Was it after this year? Yeah, I mean, he had made $21 million that season, with which was the first year of his extension. Now, does that mean anything? Like, look, we've seen really rich athletes in crazy situations before in spite of their riches. It doesn't clear him completely, but you could understand how your mind would be like, wait. Terry Rozier was manipulating for prop bets. Like, it's one thing for Jonte Porter to do it because whatever, he's a G leaguer on 10-day contracts. his brother makes a tremendous amount of money, but he doesn't. Okay, I could understand that. But Terry Rozier doing it, and I wonder what the fallout of this is, because, okay, let's just say Terry did have an injury. Somebody got wind of it. Somebody let somebody know, hey, I don't know if I'm feeling so good. I'm going to try and give it a go, but if it doesn't feel right, I might be out of this thing. And somebody knew that information. Could he have been caught in the crosshairs of that? And now all of a sudden people are wondering about his performance, because that's the thing that's interesting about it, right? Like, this was a guy who was playing 35 minutes a game. He was averaging 21 a game. He was having a really nice season for, yes, a crappy Hornets team, but he was playing well. But look, I don't know, man. This is pretty crazy. This is one of those things where I'm a little bit skeptical. This is from the Wall Street Journal. Authorities believe that some of the people who arranged for Porter to fix his performance in 2 games last season had inside information that prompted them to bet large sums of money against Rozier a year earlier. So, I don't know. Anthony writes, the Heat learned of the federal investigation into Rozier on Wednesday. Expectation is he will continue to play for the Heat during the government's investigation. It also doesn't help that Terry Rozier has been so bad shooting that, people have made the jokes that it looks like Terry Rozier is point shaving. He has been such a bad shooter this year, and it may just be because of his neck injury. I don't know. But Terry Rozier has been, off a cliff with his shooting this year, that if anybody was point shaving, if you had to, say, hey, on the Miami Heat, who do you think is point shaving this year? You would say Terry Rozier, other than, of course, Jimmy Butler. I'm sure Jimmy Butler also looks like he could be part of a gambling ring with how bad that he's been playing this year, or how little effort he was giving. You think he could have called up any mobsters and been like, hey, boys, one-legged 3 tonight against the Pels. Bet the unders. Click. It also doesn't help the idea that, this is going down as one of the worst trades in franchise history. They gave up a first-round pick for Terry, who, by the way, is coming off his best game of the season against Cleveland. He played very, very well. But, man, this year just gets wackier and wackier, man. It really, really does. And then, on top of it, I got Heat versus haters who's being like a journalist with OnlyFans models who maybe joked about parlays getting blown by Terry Rozier, or something getting blown in by, I don't know. But the point is, this has all the makings of a terrible Netflix miniseries coming up in 5 years. What do you mean Terry Rozier is in the middle of a gambling story? It's crazy. Guy's making he's making $50 million over the next couple of years. I don't know, man. It sounds like the crux of this is some mob people knew that Terry Rozier's foot wasn't doing, maybe he had a games bonus, I don't know, and he let people know, I'm going to try and get out there, but, don't bet my overs tonight, boys. And everybody took it and ran with it. Does it sound like he actively blew it? I don't know. But that was the thing with Jonte Porter, too. Didn't he have an eye injury or something like that? He had a strange injury. So, look, I'm not going to hear and tell you it's nothing, because when you see federal investigation around anything, everybody kind of just goes, whoa. All right. This is great. And of course, Kevin loves trolling. He's trolling with it with Adam Sandler. What the hell with Uncut Gems with that line? That was this is how I went, hilarious. Kevin Love, of course. I believe he took Terry Rozier's name out of the caption though. So Terry's like, hey, funny, but take it easy, Kevin, please. Sheesh. This is a wild one. I hope everything's gonna be okay out of this, honestly, because I know the rap bastards are gonna be like, can we get out of that contract? Is there going to be some kind of a void here? And I believe, if you want the answer to that, I believe Ira wrote about that today in the Sun Sentinel. And he had said that, yeah, they're actually, if he did get banned, your contract can get voided by the NBA. Let's see. Investigation into part of a probe last year led to a criminal charge and a lifetime ban for Toronto Raptors forward Jonte Porter. Porter has since been convicted of wire fraud, facing a potential 41 to 51 months in prison. Unlike the Heat's current indefinite suspension of Jimmy Butler of failure to render services, an NBA suspension of Rozier would afford the Heat salary cap and luxury tax relief of 50% of the salary lost during a suspension. An NBA banishment of Rozier would remove Rozier's salary from the Heat's payroll. So if you are wondering about that, the answer is yes, but who knows? And I'm curious, the Heat have practice coming up on Friday before they head to San Antonio. You know how the Heat love to give clarity to stuff. So is Terry going to speak to the media? I would guess no. And from the reports I've read, like his reps haven't talked about it or anything, but it certainly is one of those that perks your ears and eyes up, and you're like, all right, let's see what this ends up being. But you also kind of want to wait for more details to come out of here, because I'm not out here trying to claim that Terry Rozier is fixing games, in spite of most of his poor play this season looking like he could have been fixing games. Like, he's been that bad of a shooter. So that doesn't help with him. It also doesn't help of all the tweets and the social media detectives on all this. It doesn't feel great. And people aren't even going to read. They're just going to see, oh, Terry Rozier, I know that name. He was fixing games, and then they just kind of move on with their day. Who's going to pay the paywall to read the Wall Street Journal's piece? It just feels like there's never a boring day in Heatland right now. Between Jimmy, Terry, at least Tyler made the All-Star team. That was Goosey's. You guys see Trae Young was whining about it too. He's like, it's not calling snubbed anymore. It's called being trade. It's like, last I checked, you made the All-Star team 3 times, Trae Young. Stop whining about it. Just, boo-hoo. Like, enough, dude. Between that and when Rudy Gobert, cried about it. It's so unbecoming, dude. Anyway, just another crazy night in Heatland.